Hey guys, welcome. We're Onscreen Offscreen. I'm Conlon and this is Josh. We've got a couple good topics for you. Hey Josh, let's start with your number one.
My number one is the new Netflix series called Senna. It's based on Ayrton Senna, the F1 driver of um, early 90s. I don't remember when he died. He died in a race. He's thought of as one of the greatest F1 drivers of all time. And he's probably number three on my list. Uh, it's such a good show. I watched it all in kind of like one shot. I didn't take I I watched it one night, went to sleep, woke up, and finished it the next morning. Um, it's very interesting. They do use voiceover, so it's like watching Godzilla minus one in English, where
Okay.
the actors are usually not speaking English, but they voiced it over, so the mouths look weird. But that's really my own complaint about it. It's a great way. F1 is really growing a lot, and it's a great way to introduce the history of F1, specifically Ayrton Senna. He's a very defining driver of Formula One entirely. He's a three-time world championship champion winner, and they really show how he won one of a couple of those in pretty controversial ways. So it's really cool. I recommend it. It's a good watch, and you learn something new, which is cool.
So is this more like a biopic type of a thing where you have somebody acting as Senna, or is it a documentary style?
You have someone acting as Senna,
Okay,
so
cool.
it's not a documentary. There is a documentary called Senna also that you can watch, um, but I liked this. It was really good. Told the story. I don't know about how much of his personal life is accurate. I'm sure like the high points are true. Like, I'm sure he did marry that one girl. I'm sure they did break up. I'm sure he did date that really famous Brazilian presenter, TV personality girl, um, all that kind of stuff. But they kind of play up this romance between him and this journalist girl and how she, like, kind of has a crush on him, but, like, nothing ever happens. I don't know how true that is. Um, in his last race before he died, he was arguing not to do the race and because the track was so dangerous, but ended up doing it. And another driver from another team had died during the practices for this race on this track, and they were going to do the race anyway. And he went and he was going to win the race and hold up his, not himself, but the flag of the driver that had died's nationality to kind of honor him. And he's like, I'm going to win for him, and that's going to be my purpose to race. And this is the race that he dies in. So a lot of this is like unverifiable conjecture. Like, those meetings between the drivers and the FIA at the time were closed door. There was no media in there. There was no official statements, but like there were other drivers, so like I'm sure he did raise concerns about the safety of the track. I'm sure that's true. But immediately after, there's a time where he pulls the president of the FIA aside and talks to him about the danger and how about the drivers aren't being heard. And like that would very much be a he said she said kind of situation. So whether or not that actually happened in that way or happened at all, I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe they were just playing it up and there were other people in the room. I really don't know enough to say how accurate it is historically, other than like what they showed in the race was true. And they did a very cool thing of switching between professional filming and like actual footage of like Senna when he was a kid karting and Senna when he was in Formula Ford and out on the actual track. So they did a good job with it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's like top show ever, probably not, but it does build up some hype for the F1 movie coming next year.
Is so it's something that me I've watched some of it because of you, but that's about it. I'd probably enjoy it like a normal person who's not an F1 fan.
Yeah, I mean, did you like the movie Rush?
I did. I did like the movie
I
Rush.
mean, it's very much like that. It's just instead of telling the story of James Hunt and Niki Lauda, it's telling the story of Ayrton Senna. So,
Cool.
and Senna came after Lauda and Hunt, and is actually in the show. They have Lauda in it, which is cool. Um, so
That is cool. Cool, cool, man. My first one is Demon Slayer season 4. And this is one of the it's just a mixed bag of a show because there are parts of this show that I absolutely just love so much. And then there are parts of this show that are insanely annoying and stupid. Um, this season was kind of a mix of both because it's a chiller season. They're going through a training arc, so they're going through all of the masters and they're getting trained by each one of these masters. And some of the masters are annoying, and some of the masters are super interesting with their character type and how they're going about training. So you have this mix of chill with annoying, and it kind of goes back and forth. And you don't even have the yellow-haired guy that's the most annoying character in anything, but it's also chill enough that you don't have some of the really badass moments, which is what I think people like Demon Slayers for. Um, you have the end that's really cool, but that's about it. Everything else is chill. So it's a weird vibe with the rest of the show that isn't chill. I think that's the problem with Demon Slayer is you have badass over here, then you have comedy, then you have chill, then you have people complaining, and then you have adventure over here that doesn't seem to matter, and it just as a show feels so incongruent, where you're back and forth and kind of whiplashed all the time. But it also has some of those moments that are some of my favorite moments in any anime ever. Some of these fight scenes are insanely cool. Um, Season 4 was overall a win for me, but like the rest of the show, it's a mixed bag.
how is season 4 just barely a mixed bag? You said yellow haired kid isn't in it.
Yeah, but you have other what are they? Hiroshis. I think they're called Hiroshis. The masters, and some of the masters are also very annoying. They're not yellow haired kid annoying. He's only in it for one episode, and he actually has a moment that was a little funny. I'll be completely honest. Most of the time, he's just annoying. He's in a very, 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 very small amount of this season.
But like every character is in that show is annoying except for the main character and the sister. So if
I
you take out the worst part of it, which is yellow haired boy, I find it hard to believe that that show has not drastically improved because the yellow haired kid was the one that took it over the top for me.
But there's also the fact that the show is really great when it is focusing on the action aspect. And a lot of this was the training. Well, I need to do more push ups. I need to be stronger, blah, 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 which is good. But there's just a lot of it in this show. And this was a whole season of training, 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 training. I'm not strong enough. I need to go strong. Rocky cutscene. I'm not strong enough. I need to get stronger. Rocky cutscene. Not strong enough. Need to get stronger. Rocky cutscene. And every single episode, these are 20-minute episodes, are the exact same thing of, okay, I've got this challenge. I'm not strong enough. Let's do a Rocky cutscene. Now I'm strong enough. Beat the episode or beat this master's challenge. Next master, let's go. Oh, I'm not strong enough. Rocky cutscene. Beat this master's thing. Go on to the next one. And that was the whole season. And some of the master's challenges were more entertaining than others, if that
Well,
makes sense.
that's fair. I mean, that's understandable, but won't it make the final battle a little bit more satisfying when you've seen them go through the work? I mean, like if you look at
Yes,
Rocky, the actual fight is very small portion of that movie, yet everybody loves it because you feel like he's earned it because he had to do all the build up.
I think it will for sure. And I think it would have been better if it wasn't the whole season kind of feeling that way. You have this. The end of the season is really interesting. They basically capture the Lord of the Demons, and the master, the main master on the good side, sacrifices himself to capture the Lord of the Demons and brings all of the masters together to fight him. And the Lord of the Demons takes them into the demon realm for this last big battle that's going to be your last final season. Cool, very, very well done last episode. I think you could have had a little less training and still gotten the point across without it being, I think it's like 8 episodes of just training, 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 training. That's what, eight times 20. You're looking an hour to 2.5 hours roughly of just training. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So it still feels like a mixed bag, you know?
Well, that's fair, but I mean, again, that comparison to Rocky is like an hour and a half of just training, you know. So I'm just
Yeah,
trying to cut it a little bit of slack, and this is coming from somebody who could not watch it anymore, you know. So
because of yellow haired guy, right?
yeah, solely because of yellow haired guy. I found Boarhead also irritating beyond belief, but it wasn't so egregious that I couldn't watch it. Yellow haired kid was definitely the worst. And like my favorite part of the show that I saw was like the spider demons
Super cool.
because yellow haired kid was unconscious most of the time.
Yeah, and then when he
You know,
wakes up,
so
he becomes like a different character for a little bit before he starts freaking out like a little girl again.
yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that I would actually enjoy season 4 more than probably you, mostly because yellow haired kid wouldn't be in it. But
Probably, probably.
it's fair. That show does a very good job of having really irritating characters.
Since Yellow Hair Kid's not in it that much, could you skip ahead to watch season 4 and then just finish it out on season 5?
No,
Nah. Okay.
no, because he's gonna come back. Why would I watch the training montage? You know, like
When
I'm
he's
not
just gonna
getting
be
much.
back.
Yeah, he's just gonna be back for the final fight, and he's just gonna be really irritating again, which is really sad because my opinion of Demon Slayer is animation beautiful, story
Gorgeous.
really interesting. It's really cool. I love the dynamic between the main character and the sister. I love the grandpa storyline at the beginning where he's letting them go. I love that there's enough people in this world willing to look at things differently because of this kid. You know, there's a lot of characters that instantly want to kill the sister, but then when they see how she acts around him, you know, they're okay, they accept it. You know, but man, just so every single other character is still really irritating, uh, and I can't stand it. So
Nah,
I
dude,
can't
it's
watch
okay.
it anymore.
That's too bad, man. That's too bad. I'll let you know about the last season when it comes out. I am pumped for the last season. I It seems like it's basically just gonna be a whole season fight scene, which Demon Slayer is good at. I think it's gonna be awesome.
I'm sure that's exactly well. There's going to be a little bit of build up of him having to go find the final demon guy.
So that's what happened. Like they trapped the final demon guy, and they all took him to the demon realm, and the demon's army is there. The good guys are all there. It's like staged and ready for the fight. That's
Okay.
how they end the season.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a whole. It's gonna be very Dragon Ball Z then. It's gonna be a whole season of
Probably.
just one fight, and you know, cool. I hope it's worth it. I hope it's enjoyable. Hope they do a good job.
Me too. Me too, man. What is your second topic?
My second topic is a show that is not completely out yet. It is
Okay,
called Day of the Jackal. It stars Eddie Redmayne, the guy
I like him.
who's the Fantastic Beasts guy. I like him 66% of the time. Um, few things I haven't really loved him in. This is a very different role. He is playing a hitman.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I was kind of concerned about it because to me his voice is very Fantastic Beasts and you know mystical, I guess, kind of world. But he's just straight up a hitman. He's got a secret life from his wife and his kid. Um, he's trying to balance it out. The very first episode, he has a plan, a kill planned, right? So at intro,
Hmm.
and he's setting up this kill. He's taking apart and putting together his gun, and he hits a shot. And then later in the show, they announce that that was uh, 3,800 meters away, and the world record is 3,500 meters. Um, so supposedly, it's this crazy long shot, huge, very impressive skill. And so the investigators give him the nickname Jackal, hence Day of the Jackal. The rest of the show is focused on him and his next hit. So somebody reaches out to him and says that they're going to pay him $100 million to kill this finance guru guy who's about to release an app that would expose all of the rich people's money and where it really is, and give normal people the ability to see where money is actually going and how to properly invest, and I guess that kind of stuff. Um, and so the rich people don't like it, so they say, we're going to hire this guy to go kill him. And I do have one complaint about the show, and that is the investigator lady who works for MI6, the Secret Service for the British, or the, James Bond um, group.
Hmm.
It does not clarify what she is very well. So, like, for 3.5 episodes, I thought she was just a journalist who was investigating things and
Okay.
trying to get the scoop on it, trying to tell this story because she's interested in it. And it doesn't outright say that she's in this secret organization till like episode 4. And I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense why she's in these crime scenes all the time. Like, there's not even a scene where, like, she has to tell an officer, like, flip the badge or, you know, MI6 or whatever. It just, like, there's no officer around and she, like, sneakily sneaks under the crime scene tape. And you're like, wow, this journalist is really crossing some boundaries. Um, there's 7 episodes out now. There's going to be 10. I am so excited to see where they're going to go from this point. It just got to the point where he tried to make the kill on the rich guy and didn't get the hit because something else interfered. So,
That sounds
very
pretty awesome.
interested. The wife is figuring this kind of stuff out. She found his secret room with all of his secret stuff, and he had to kind of explain that. And he does a fantastic job because the scenes with the wife, particularly, he conveys the "I'm a hitman" mentality and a "I'm the husband of this girl" mentality, and it is perfectly portrayed. You can see it clear as day by the way he says he loves her.
That's
Like,
cool.
he's in the big, when you first see him together, he says it so casually and naturally, and and then later on there's a scene where she's dropping him off at the airport and she says, you got to tell me, you got to say it, and he says it kind of more robotic like, and you're like, oh, he has mentally checked out from this conversation. He is the "I'm the hitman" guy. He's starting to plan this kind of next moves and not so much as being there. So he does a great job with it. Um, it is very much a root for the bad guy kind of show because I hate the girl who's trying to catch him, like, so much. Like, she straight up does police brutality and torture to try and gain information. And I'm like, I don't care if you catch him. I actually kind of want him to shoot you in the face. Like, I would be happy if episode 8 is he shoots her and they send in some random person to finish the investigation who I don't hate so much. Um,
Oh, that's funny.
but yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect show. They're already dropping hints that, like, not everybody in the organization, I'm going to say MI6 because that's what I think it is. Everybody in MI6 can't be trusted,
Yep.
but like there's been no real evidence of that, if that makes sense. Save for somebody made a call that let a different character get away from a raid by the investigator girl. Um, it's still enjoyable. It's very much a James Bond, Jason Bourne action, hitman kind of show. And it's super enjoyable, and I really like it a lot.
That's awesome, man. I will definitely check that out. That one sounds really good to me.
It is.
And
They
I
do a very, very good job with it.
really like Eddie Redmayne. I can't think of any movies that I don't like him in them. I don't like some of the movies, but I can't think of any that I don't like him.
I don't like him in Les Mis.
I actually think he's one of the better parts of Les Mis.
He
There's
is. You're right.
major problems with that movie, but I think he does a pretty good job.
He is the second best part of that movie.
What's the best part of that movie?
The girl who plays the
Okay.
daughter. Yeah.
Oh,
She's
interesting.
fantastic. Yeah.
I think the best part of that movie is what's her name? The girl who sings the "I Wish It Was Me" song, who dies.
She does a fantastic job too. You're right.
I think she's the
She
best.
is number 2 and Eddie Redmayne's number 3. But that movie is garbage. So
I think that movie is garbage except for whatever her name is. I think she is like the one part of that movie that I genuinely think is good.
I think the girl who plays the daughter does a fantastic job.
Cool,
She
cool.
she does a great job. The best friend does a fantastic job, and
Such a good
Eddie
job.
Redmayne and the other guy do the next best job. The two friends, um,
Yeah,
but still is bad in it. Like I still don't like it. I mean, the 25th anniversary edition of Les Mis has Nick Jonas doing that role, and I still don't love that, but that's still so much better than what he did with the role.
interesting. I think he's close to Nick, and there's way better people than Nick Jonas, but I put him on a fairly close level.
There are way better than Nick Jonas, but
Way
I'd
better than
still
Nick
put
Jonas.
Nick Jonas above Eddie Redmayne in that role.
Okay,
And the first Fantastic Beasts movie was pretty good. I
that's
never
it.
finished them, but the rest of them that I did see were kind of rough. So, but I don't really blame him for it.
I don't either. I think he
So
did a good
that's fair.
job, just in really not very good movies. They're not very good.
Yeah. So, like I said, like 66% of the time, I give him the benefit of the doubt and say he did a good job, but
Fair enough.
sometimes
He's in
I'm not a big fan. And it was
Theory of
very
Everything is
surprising.
like one of my favorites. I love it.
Oh, that he does a great job with that one too.
He's
That's a good one.
so good in
Yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, he just it was very surprising to see him take on this kind of a role, and it was very surprising to see him do this well with it. So I said, 3 more episodes to come. Release a new one every Thursday. I'm excited. I really hope that they stick the landing on this one because of kind of the shaky start. It's a really good one. Very enjoyable.
Okay, dude. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. My next topic is the end of Rising Impact. I did finish season 2, and I'm a little bit conflicted.
Why is
I
that?
really, really like it. I think it's great, but I also think the main character improves so fast that I just didn't get what I wanted out of it, which is actually a little bit longer story. I wanted him to take a little bit longer to get to that level of skill and improvement, where at the end like a god of golf almost. I did like the brain damage aspect and how he kind of turns off all of his emotions so he can be so critical and cynical and not cynical, so emotionless. What's the word that I'm looking for? Um, anyway, he was able to search into the details very, very deeply. I thought that was a cool character arc, character piece, but I wanted him to be able to spend more time learning and getting to that level, even though they did a very good job with the story that they chose to tell. Does that make sense?
So it does. It absolutely does. Let me tell you why I like it though. Um,
Okay.
because they say that he is losing blood and say he's not himself. It's basically like a look into what he could be, not what he actually is. So he still lost the tournament. He still really wants to win and he still wants to hit the longest drive ever. And so you go into this tournament where he's losing, and then you have them do this like he got hit with a golf ball and is now kind of going insane, and through that insanity is able to play better than anybody else out there, but is still so far behind he still loses. So it's a this is what he may get to someday, but he's still not there because he's not going to go smack himself in the head every time he wants to play golf, right? So that's why I liked it. I agree. If it was just like a he suddenly was that good, I wouldn't really love it that much. But because you know that this is a just this one tournament kind of a thing, I like the anticipation of could he win it all? Could he make it back? You know, could he hit the drive? So I still really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it too, and I think it'll work. I'm assuming they'll do 3 seasons. I wanted the whole thing we talked about last time where it kind of goes into teenage years and then goes into college years or pro. I think they'll do 3 seasons because you have the first season where he's kind of learning what he's doing, the second season where he figures out his potential, but there's a dark aspect to that potential, and then the third season where he figures out how to be his true self plus get that potential and hit whatever hole in one that he's going to at the end of season 3.
We will see. I don't know if they're planning on more than 3 seasons or not. I could see it going on, right? You could say he's going to hit his hole in one, but then season 4 he's a teenager and he's at a new level of competition, so he still has to continue improving.
But like the level of competition that you were seeing at season 2, what are they gonna do going to a teenage level? Okay, I want you to hit this to the moon. You need a hole in one on the moon.
Yeah, it's an anime. Why not? Uh,
maybe they'll do
it's
that.
hard, I get it, but like it's also very contained, right? You're talking about 3 schools. You have the Japanese school,
Yeah,
the American school, and the British school. Like you very much could. And remember, this is the King Arthur story. So you've still yet to have what's his bucket show up and um, try and seize power and all that kind of stuff. And
that's true. That's
there's going
true.
to be the golf playoff for the power of the schools or whatever they're going to do. I don't know, but
Yeah, you
um,
could have
there's still a lot of ways they can go. There's still a lot of King Arthur stories.
the witch from King Arthur. I can't remember her name, but show up and do something to him.
Yeah,
Or there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options. You're right.
yeah.
I don't know. I
So
think there'll be 3 seasons, but we'll see if they do 4.
I'll be happy with whatever they do so long as they keep up this kind of level of quality and this like positivity because you feel good watching it. It's such a feel good kind of show. I'm fully on board with keeping that up.
So season 2 gets a little bit more anime with the strike, and then he flies at 500 yards to almost get a hole in one, and I will strike like this, and it goes in the hole if I'm 120 yards away, that kind of thing. If it gets to the point where it is Dragon Ball Z levels, where I'm hitting a golf ball and having it orbit the Earth, and then I'm landing it inside of a volcano, which then goes into a hole in one, would you still really enjoy that, or would that be too expansive?
So long as they keep up the positivity, right? As so long
Really?
as I
Okay.
still feel good, it's not the greatest show in the world. The writing is not fantastic. It's very sort of on the line, on par with it. Like, it's just enjoyable, right? Like, it's just
It
positive.
is
It just makes
enjoyable.
you feel good to watch. You don't feel like garbage. There's no garbage in it. There's no anime garbage in it. Um, no close up on bouncing boobs or girls screaming for no reason.
It doesn't have any of that stuff, yeah.
It doesn't have any of that. So as long as they just keep it
Except
like
for
innocent and positive, they can go the most outrageous golf tournament. Like, legitimately, they could say, "We're going to hit to the moon." And I'd be like, "Okay, let's do it. Let's see how this goes." And like all the other characters, they have to hit a hole, they have to hit it into a hole that then puts the ball in a rocket and then shoots it to the moon. And the main character gets to hit it directly to the moon or whatever. Like, sure, why not? Just as long as you keep up that kind of energy that it has and the way it makes me feel watching it afterwards, right? If it gets too serious or too down or tries to be something that it's not, that's obviously going to be kind of a bummer, but they can be as outrageous as they want to be so long as they keep up that energy that they have.
cool, cool, cool. God's tournament. We're gonna hit it from Earth to Jupiter. Hole six.
Yep, and then
Sounds
he's
good,
going
man.
to have to play Zeus and Hermes, and you're going to have Hermes twerking on the flagpole, and shout out to Epic there. But anyway, yeah, like, be outrageous, be fun, be positive, great entertainment. World needs more of it, so if they keep it up, they can keep going as long as they want to.
Sweet, sweet. I I really like this show, but for some reason with anime, I will get into these anime phases and I will watch nothing but anime for like 3 weeks. And then one day, I don't know what causes it, but one day it's not like I end a show, it's not anything like that. All of a sudden, anime drives me crazy and I don't want to watch any more anime. And if we weren't doing this recording, so I finished this, I wouldn't have finished the season because I got to the point where anime was just driving me nuts. And maybe there was a little bit more of a harsh tone for me because of that. It happens every single time I watch anime. I watched season one and season two of Attack on Titan, and about halfway through season two, it hit me. I was like, I don't want to watch anime anymore, and I tried to keep watch that season, and I was not enjoying it. I thought it was stupid. I was like, why does anyone like this crap? Um, and that's Attack on Titan. It's like one of the best shows ever, but it happens to me every single time.
I've never gotten that aggressive. I'm definitely in the camp of I have to be in the mood for anime to watch anime, but it's not like I hate anime. It's not like I can't recognize that it's of quality. It's just like, I'm not in the mood for this. I can't watch it right now. I'm not going to enjoy it. It's not like I'm going to hate it. Um, so, same thing, just to a lesser degree there, I think.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Well, dude, what is your what are we at? Second topic?
Third.
Third
My
topic.
third topic is Star Citizen. Man, oh man, did I have a great time. They're still doing their um, specific events before the next patch comes out. Um, me and my little group, we went and did our missions where we were collecting cargo, and we were trying to go in, fight the ships. I'm on a turret and I'm shooting these ships, and then we have to get out and EV out to the um, cargo, grab it, load it onto the ship, take the ship back, unload it into the thing, uh, and it was just fun. And then more recently, we got to the phase 3 stuff, which is you have to go and take out a capital ship as more than just your group. You have to have so much more players than what was in it. And in the most recent play, so I have a ship called the Polaris in the ship. It is the first capital ship that was released, and its purpose is to take out other capital ships. So it has these massive torpedoes in it, and there was our group in a Polaris and 4 other groups in a Polaris trying to take out what they called the Idris, which is another ship that they haven't quite fully released yet.
So 2 Polarises total.
4.
Also, okay, each one of them had their own Polaris.
Yep, there's
Okay.
4 other groups, and we went and we were trying to take out this Idris, and so we were all circling this ship and trying to fight off these other. So it's the Idris and 23 other fighters. So you go in, you jump to the spot, and you have to fight it, and it just feels so epic, right? So I was either piloting or I was in a turret, but you're just flying around, or you're trying to just like take out the other ships, and then you're trying to lay on enough fire to knock out the shields, to then hit the Idris with your torpedoes, and it's it was just so much fun. What a great time! What a great way to spend a couple of days. Because we did, you have to complete that mission 3 times. So we had to get into the Polaris. We did 2 one time and 1 another time, and every single time it was awesome. The first time was probably my favorite time because we jumped in kind of late to the battle, and people in the chat afterwards were like, "Shout out to this Polaris that came in clutch with their torpedoes," and that was us. Like people were sending that out into the group chat, like,
That's
we
so
came
cool.
in and saved the day kind of mentality, and it was awesome. Um, so much fun, great time, great game, just cool, just fun.
That's cool, man. One of my topics is just how many problems I had with it. I've tried it again and I want to play this game with you, but man, it is like frame rate hell. The stutters in this game have been terrible for me. And I've looked online and it doesn't seem like a lot of other people are having it. But we've got 3 fairly capable PCs at this house, and I've tried it on 2 of them. And both of them, for me, some reason had this terrible problem. And it's just too bad because it sounds so freaking epic. Like that is so cool.
It is cool. You definitely have a more capable PC than my laptop, and you have one. If you're using my old PC, then that one is on par with my laptop. And I did play Star Citizen on that desktop, so
So
it definitely should work. Here's my theory. So it is still
yeah.
an alpha. You have to understand that it is not perfect, but it
Mhm.
is playable. Um, you still have glitches. You still have weird things happening. One time we were doing one of the cargo missions and we actually crashed into another ship, and my character just like died. Right? The ship was fine and everybody else in the ship was fine, but like my character was just like, that's too much and I'm dead. So I had to race and get into a ship and fly out there and be support in a different ship. Like it has its problems. Uh, Two things is like your server matters a lot. If you get into a bad server, the FPSs are pretty terrible.
It was
But if you
so
get
bad,
into a
man.
good one, you should be at least getting 40. Um, so that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is I know you like to do something that I cannot stand, and that is blast music and have 50,000 tabs open in Chrome at the same time. Star Citizen is meant to use all of your RAM. So if it calculates that you have 32 gigs of RAM, if your RAM is busy doing other things, it's still going to be trying to use that, and it could also cause issues. So like when I play Star Citizen, I have Discord and I have Star Citizen, and that is all I am doing. That's the only processes that are really running on my computer, save for Windows. I shut down everything else. I turn off my Plex server. I close out Steam. Steam's not running. I just have it focusing on those few things because it is still an alpha and it's not perfect and it does have errors all the time. And at least one play session we usually have to server hop because the server tanks or starts to get too busy or whatever. Um, so it's not perfect. I'm not trying to sell it as perfect, but you really have to, you know, do stuff and make it work. So
Yeah, I closed everything out except for my still series for better sound quality, the game and Discord. I think everything else was closed out both times I tried, and it didn't matter at all. Like it was so bad it literally made me sick, which sucks. I know it's an alpha, but I'm playing on one of your old PCs. I tried it on that one, and that also didn't work. And I need to figure out what's going on because I'd love to play with you guys. Give it a try.
it would be
If
very
anybody else
cool.
has
And
had any problems, please help me.
everybody's had problems.
Really? Okay.
Everybody's had problems. I've had problems. Everybody has problems. It's an alpha. It's
Yeah.
not great. I have had times where I've had like 3 FPS. Um, and like certain areas of the universe are definitely worse. Like if you're on planet surface or you're in the room, um, like the more in space you get, the better it tends to run because it has a persistent universe. So like you go around and you have to like eat and drink food, right? So
Yeah.
people go and they drop all these cans everywhere. And specifically in the room, they're always full of boxes and cans and stuff. So the game just like tanks every time you log in because you're logging into a space that's trying to render 30 cans of soda and 12 boxes of medical gowns of stuff people just kind of like dropped on the floor. Um,
Can you load directly onto a ship? Is that
Not yet.
possible? Okay.
No. I mean, right now I could log out from my ship and log back into the ship, but I could not quit the game, come back later, and log in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, they are going to add that. It is something that is coming, but it is not currently in the game.
Is there a roadmap for when it will be out of alpha and into beta?
No.
Okay.
The only, I mean, you can pull up their roadmap and see what kind of stuff they're working on, but there's no real ETA. Like the next patch is 4.0, and it does not even have a release date.
Oh, really?
And it's actually important because these missions that I'm talking about that we're doing end when 4.0 comes out.
Oh,
So it could be
cool.
next week. It could be 3 weeks. It could be Christmas. It could be New Year's. It could be beginning of next year. We don't know how long we have to complete these missions to get the reward. So, but there's no actual official release date of 4.0. It's suspected that they will drop 4.0 just before Christmas and let everybody kind of play it through the new year, and it will be extremely buggy and have a lot of problems. And then they'll start doing hot fixes as soon as the new year comes around.
So I see 4.0 and then I see Star Citizen 1.0
Yep.
as tentative. Is 1.0 beta?
No, 1.0 is the official release that they talked about. So this year at CitizenCon, they announced Star Citizen 1.0. And what that is them talking about what they are actually trying to do. Because the original vision for the game was 100 star systems.
Wow.
But as they've developed, they've actually changed. It's now looking like 1.0 is going to release with 7 star systems, but they're going to be very in-depth star systems.
I think that's a
Right? They're
better
going to
way to
have
do it.
full weather systems on planet surfaces. They're going to have, dynamic everything, wildlife, outposts, all this kinds of stuff, as well as they released like what their intention was going to be for it. So they released that they're also going to be doing a story, um, a greater campaign story, And I think that the greater campaign really is going to be, this is how you mine, this is how you do a bounty, this is how you kill someone, this is how you bring them in alive, this is how you do medical stuff, where they're just kind of introducing you to the every aspect of the game. But it's not mandatory, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure it'll be nice, and I will probably play through it, but um, it's also going to take you around through all the different star systems and introduce you to everything. They talked about how they're going to do clans or organizations, is what they call them in this game. Um, they're going to have environmental events where people can just respond and go take care of it. More MMO kind of stuff. Uh, they talked about what they mean when they say insurance. So like I have bought multiple ships for the game, and some of them have lifetime insurance, and some of them have 10 years of insurance, and some of them have 5 years of insurance, and some of them have 2, and some of them have 1. So they actually defined what they mean by insurance, because they're not going to take your ship away from you. Like if I go out and I fight in a battle and I no longer have insurance on the ship, but I paid real money for it, they have defined that I am not going to actually lose that ship. They've just defined that, like, hey, if you have insurance, there's going to be different tiers to it, which means you reinstate it in different states. So if you get the
Hmm.
highest tier, you get all your customization of your ship that you've done back, right? If you put a little plant on the table, that is insured, and that will come back in the game when you claim that insurance call. Uh, but since I just have, as soon as my insurance runs out and I have paid for the ship, I'm just going to get the ship back as if it was a brand new version of that ship. So they're doing a lot. They're doing a lot with player bases and all that kind of stuff. But that's what 1.0 is. So if you watch the 1.0 video, you'll get a full picture of, like, hey, this is the vision of where we want Star Citizen to be for when we release 1.0. Um, I believe 4 points, whatever they go to, is probably going to be the last round before beta, because in 4.0 they're releasing their second star system that you can jump to. So I think it's going to be 4.55 or whatever they go up to, and then they're going to say beta 1.0, because it is in a playable state. And if they get everything done that they talked about in CitizenCon, specifically with like dynamic weather and environments and all this kinds of stuff, plus next year or 2026, I don't remember, the single player game comes out, which means all the developers that are working on that can then start working on the universe, the MMO side of things. It's going to really amplify and speed up the development process. So
Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, my next one is I watched Dancing with the Stars and Great British Baker with my wife, and we had winners for both. It, they were both good shows. What I find more interesting, we talked about Great British Baker a couple weeks ago, and you said it's a show where they don't care about the competition. And I think there's a stark difference between the two different shows because you have Dancing with the Stars, which I could have guessed who was going to win because of who watches the show. It is heavily skewed female audience, and you have Mr. Bachelor that every woman loves. He's also a very good dancer. I'm totally cool that he won. Not a big deal at all. But you have Chandler, who's also a very good dancer, but she doesn't have as much of the influence, so she gets fourth, even though I can argue that she should have won. The second place was Iona, I think is how you say her name. She is a rugby player who was at the Olympics for rugby this year, and she was by far the worst one in this competition. That was in this top bracket. She should have been fifth of these top five. Um, but you have a heavily female audience, so that's where the competition goes. Great British Baker, you have two bakers that are very well established. They know what they're doing, and they're the ones that judge who is going to win and who's going to lose. So you have more of a fierce competition because it's not just, oh, this person's popular. It's, oh, can this person bake? So to me, that seems like a more fair competition and actually a better show overall than the show where it's just, oh, this girl is woman empowerment and she's strong, so we're gonna root for her, even though she did a pretty good job, but she does not deserve to be second place at all. Period.
Does second place even matter?
Um, in the grand scheme of things, no. In the was she actually second place? Was she the second best person on the show? Kind of, I guess.
No, it doesn't matter at all. So here's the thing.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the one that started all of this, right? The
American Idol.
origins of this, American Idol. American Idol was originally the judges' pick all the way through, and the judges picked the winner.
Yeah,
Okay, it's like 4 seasons, and I still remember when David whatever beat out David Archuleta, and how so many people were so pissed off that the next year they were like, okay, we're going to start letting America vote on who the actual winner is. Here's my problem with judges' pick, right?
okay.
Judges are biased. They just are. We as human beings are biased. And as much as you try and remove the biases, uh, take the judge one that I'm watching, The Voice, right now.
Yeah,
I have seen it where a judge will pick the wrong performer because the wrong performer historically did better, right? I have seen it be where this person, the underdog, clearly beat the other person, and yet the other person still won because the other person just was having an off night. That to me is ridiculous. That to me is sad. And if you don't show up to perform in this competition, you should be kicked out. Your
do you
history,
think
your
that
performance should matter.
shifts that much when you have audience vote? Because I feel like, oh, I like David Archuleta, if you want to use that example. So I'm voting for David Archuleta no matter what. He had a bad week. Cool. I still like David Archuleta, so I'm voting for him. Like Ilona, I just brought up, she is not the best, period. And people still just voted for her because they like her.
True, you still have those things, but the more voices you bring in, the less likely it is to do that,
Instead of just one person being like,
right?
I like you, so you're getting pushed through no matter what.
Yeah. So why do we vote as Americans? Why don't we just have our electorates just decide who's president, right? Why do we have the electoral college? It's because the more voices you bring in, the less likely the ridiculous voices are to win. Why is our governmental process so slow? Because if it was fast, stupid decisions would be made all the time. Because reactive and here and now decisions aren't great. So to me, the problem with Dancing with the Stars, is not that they voted for the win and that woman power beat out other person because woman power. It should be they need to work on expanding their audience to invite more views in, not just say, right, like that to me is the problem. If the judges were picking the winner, you would still have people really upset about the outcome, because the judges would say, well, I pushed this person through all the way and now I'm invested in them and now I'm going to pick them to win. Just like David whatever over David Archuleta, right? So I am all for the voting. I think the voting is an important part of it. Yes, there are going to be people who are just fans who will just vote for their whatever all the time. But as soon as you bring in more voices and more people, the greater variety and stuff is that you'll actually have, because there are a lot of people like myself who would vote for who actually did better, not who they liked the best.
What percentage of people do you think that actually is? If you had to take a guess.
50.
You think it's? I don't think it's that high.
I think it is that high. I, myself, not this week, but 2 weeks ago, whenever F1 was in Brazil, I voted for Max Verstappen as driver of the day.
Really? Good
I
for
hate
you,
Max
man.
Verstappen,
That's
but
shocking.
he drove the best. I'm not going to deny him the fact that he drove the best,
Even though you hate him.
right? Even though I hate him. I think most people are that way. I think most people, or at least half the people out there, would be able to say A did better than B in this competition, and C did better than F in this competition, and I think
I don't.
most people are that way.
I don't think that way. A lot of because of sports actually. If you, we talked about this when we talked about the BYU game, um, where if you are a BYU fan and you are at the BYU game, you can't even be like, you know what, ref, we did screw that one up. That was a good call. I don't know if I've ever heard that from your own team. Every single time it is, ref, that was such a bullcrap call. I can't believe you did that. That was a bet. Every single time. And
Who are
it's,
you looking at?
what do you mean?
What percentage of college football fans are you looking at?
Um, a very small percentage.
A very small percentage of people who are looking at that and saying, that was bull crap. That was not being called all game long. You can't just call that there at the last second, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You're looking at the fan side. You are specifically targeting the side that's the fan, the side that would pick their favorite dancer, the side that would pick their favorite F1 driver, regardless of outcome. That's what you're looking at. How many times have you heard commentators and people who aren't fans talk about how that was a good call or that was a BS call?
But that's not 50%. That's a very, very small percent. That's part of my point. Is most people who get into this stuff become fans. It's part of human nature. So
They're
I would
football
say it's
fans,
like
but they're not BYU
95%
fans.
of people. Yeah, but I'm saying most people become, and you're watching it because you're a fan of whatever team. Yeah, there are exceptions where, like my father-in-law is a big football fan, and he's going to watch the Ravens versus another team that he doesn't care about, the Broncos. And he might be able to be a little bit more objective there. Maybe. I in those cases where I've seen that happen, most of the time the person doesn't really pay as much attention to the game, and then they're not worried about the calls anyway because they're not paying attention. Usually you get more invested if you have somebody you're invested in or a team that you're investing for. And in that case, pretty much every single time, you see, ref, that was crap, over and over and over again. And I don't see that being any different with any other kind of fandom.
But again, you're targeting just the fandom.
But I think the fandom is the percentage of people that we would be talking about, which is a larger percentage than 50 for sure.
No, in this situation where you're talking about Dancing with the Stars, you would
Yeah,
just be looking at the population that just voted for Girl Boss.
yeah, yeah.
You would not be talking about anybody else who voted. You are specifically talking about just her. So, of course, a larger proportion of her fandom voted for her just because she's her. But when you expand it, right, like I'm a college football fan. Even if I don't care about the teams, I will still watch it. And a lot of people are that way. And a lot of the commentators and a lot of the audience are people who are just watching the sport and who just looked at the BYU Utah game and just looked at that last call and still voiced their opinions. And most of them were, it was a good call.
I wonder if
Do you get
anyone's
what I'm
done any
saying?
actual research on that, but I do see what you're saying because there are a lot of people who just, if you're a football fan, you're a football fan, and you watch all of the games, even though maybe BYU or Notre Dame or Oregon or whoever it is your team.
Yeah. Yeah. So like let's expand it, right? Let's make college football exactly like the show, right?
Okay.
Instead of having a playoff, you have all of America vote for who the best team is, right?
Okay.
You are going to get everybody who's a diehard fan vote for their own team, even if their own team was trash.
Yeah.
Yep,
My best friend growing up was a Dolphins fan, and he would watch Dolphins no matter if they were winning, losing, or whatever, and was with them the entire time.
that's a really great thing. That's not what I'm talking about. But like, I would he have voted for them to have won the Super Bowl if they were voting for Super Bowl
Yes.
winner?
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay.
That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, because I'm a BYU fan no matter what. But if I were to vote today for who the best team in the entire college football is, I would not pick BYU because they're not. Plain and simple. They're just not. And I do believe that at least half of college football fans would not pick their own team just to pick their own team.
They might have that one team that they hate so much that they can't vote for, but other than that, they would try to be more fair, you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like, I would vote for
Okay.
Oregon. I think it's plain and simple. Oregon has been the best team in the league, right? They just have been. They're the only ones undefeated. How can you argue that they're not the best team right now? You know, and they've had a difficult schedule and they've proven their wins and all of this stuff. So, yeah, I don't think it's fair to say voting is not as good as judging competitions because voting you have the bias of the audience. I think the bias of the judges is worse because you only have 3 or 4, or some shows I guess have 5 judges,
That
but
you're
they
trying to
also
swing
have their
instead of
biases.
10,000 people.
Yeah, but they have a lot more control than what some votes in a much larger competition. So yeah, that's what I say. I say Dancing with the Stars just needs to work on getting a bigger audience, and the Great British Bake Off is fine because they don't care about the competition anyway.
So you're definitely not their target audience. What would they have to do for you to actually want to watch the show?
Which one?
Dancing with the Stars.
I would watch Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I'm not a dancing person. I don't dance. I don't watch dancing, but I respect it a lot. To get me to actually turn it on and watch it would be get somebody I am invested in to be on the show. Right? Like
Okay.
I started watching The Voice because Michael Bublé and Reba are judges this year.
Yeah.
Plain and
Okay.
simple. That's
Okay.
it. I didn't watch The Voice for 25 years, but you put my favorite artist and one of my favorite, like, I watched Reba growing up and I really like a lot of her music too. You put them on, yeah, I'll watch that. If they put
Okay.
on the guy who plays Carlton in Fresh Prince, if he was one of the contestants and John Cena was one of the contestants and you had people I actually was like invested in, great, sure. But if you're celebrities that are competing with these professional dancers are, well, they went to the Olympics in female rugby last year. I'm sorry. I don't care about rugby. I don't care about female rugby. And I don't care about the Olympics that much. That's not enough for me to be like, I want to watch this.
Where if you got, I don't know, NFL star that you really liked or something like that, because there was an NFL star this year, then maybe you might get into it.
Yeah, an NFL star, Formula One driver, NBA player, whoever, Neil Patrick Harris, Jason Siegel, somebody I could actually like recognize the name of, sure, I would turn it on and I would watch it.
So last year they actually had How I Met Your Mother, Lily, whatever her name is, the actress. Would that have made you
Uh,
interested in that season at all?
no,
Allison, whatever, I can't remember her names.
Hannigan,
Yeah, yeah. No,
no.
even though that's one of your favorite shows with one of your favorite characters.
Yes, but everything else she is in is garbage.
Buffy is not garbage. Buffy is awesome,
I haven't
but
seen Buffy.
Actually, and her raunchy comedy is actually really funny
Is
too.
awful. It's terrible. It's so
No, I
dumb.
like it a lot.
I hate it. It's so stupid.
I don't like a lot of those dumb comedies, but I do like that one.
I do not.
Okay, that's fair,
I
man.
don't at all.
But so even though you have watched her for 1,000 hours, probably more than any other individual actor on planet Earth, that still isn't enough to get you interested. And I don't know if you know this, but Carlton, you know he's a host, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got
I don't
two
care
different
about
people
the
right there.
host.
You know, but
Nobody
if he
cares
was
about the
dancing,
host.
no,
If
no
he
one
was
cares about the
competing,
host.
maybe. Only if
Okay,
he was doing the Carlton, I would watch that episode.
okay, okay. That's awesome, man. All right. I wonder what would get other people into it, because
I think it's the
I
same thing. I think they need to
agree.
market better, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, Allison Hennigan was in it. I did not know that,
Oh,
right? They need to, A, bring in bigger, more popular stars, and B, market better. Because, like,
yeah, and because I think last year they even had an episode where it was Blue Blay, and Blue Bay was the guest judge too, and they were just doing his music, and that literally targets you, and you didn't have any
yeah,
idea about
I
that,
would watch that episode for sure.
huh?
Why am I not aware of that? I follow Blue Blay on all my social medias and on YouTube and stuff. Like, why do I not know that?
I don't know. That's
So,
ridiculous. You should know that.
so yeah, they need to market better. They need to bring in more fans, and they need to bring in bigger stars.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it does not even matter if that girl was an American female rugby player. I still don't care. Like, dancing is not a thing that I'm like, yeah, go America for. I don't care. So, yeah, bring in some bigger stars and market better. And you'd bring in more of an audience for sure.
I think marketing is a good point, because yeah, you should have known about that episode, or at least seen a clip of it with how much you like Blue Blay.
Yeah,
It's a little
absolutely.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, cool. Well, dude, let's see. Um, Let me go through one more, and then we'll go to Prince Persia. So, Ori Will of the Wisps. I played the two games back and forth. I like the first game better. As far as a platformer goes, I think it was more difficult. Ori brings in combat. I think, um, oh man, that game we were just talking about yesterday, the platformer.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight had come out and it was so popular that I think Ori tried to incorporate combat, but the combat really, at least in my opinion, was not that difficult. So it took away from the platformer aspect that I really, really loved to do combat that I thought was just pretty good. It's still a fantastic game, but the story's not as great. The combat is just pretty good. Some of the puzzles were fantastic. The color scheme is still beautiful. The music is still beautiful. The story was good, but not as good as the first one. It's still a game I would recommend, but I think it was a slight step down.
That's unfortunate, but does happen with a lot of these sequels. I really hope Silk Song does not do that. I hope that they do a good job of expanding on Hollow Knight, but we will see.
Me too. I seem to be in the minority with this one. It seems like more people like Will of the Wisp better. If whenever you play it, I'm curious what you'll think.
I'll have
Um,
to play the first one first. I still haven't played it, but
yeah,
it's just so common for sequels to not be good compared to the originals. Like, save for Mass Effect, I can't think of any sequel off the top of my head that I liked better than the first one.
I like Witcher 3 better. I know you don't like that game, but Witcher for sure is better than.
I would say Witcher
The
3 is
first
for
one.
sure better than the first one and second one, too. I also would say Dark Souls 3 is better than Dark Souls 1 and 2, but
I think so too.
that's the third attempt, not the second.
Not the second attempt.
The third attempt you often, or the second attempt you often learn from, and you learn to kind of do your own thing with. So there's a lot of third ones that come out that are really good, but it's usually the second ones that are the roughest, save for Mass Effect.
Remnant 2 is better.
That's fair, but I've never played the first one, so I really can't speak
Um,
to if it's better or not.
Hades 2 is better.
I disagree. I've liked the first one so much better than the second one.
Oh, I like the second one better. I think they're both great games, but I like the second one better. And then,
Um,
I think Portal 2 is slightly better too.
I think that we've had the exact opposite conversation fairly recently talking about Portal, because Portal 2 just feels like a little bit easier after the first one, doesn't it? And
You're
feels a
right.
little bit dumb with the villain after the first one.
It does. You're right. I did bring that up that point.
Yeah.
You're right. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, I actually agree with you. I do think Portal 2 is slightly better, but not because of the main story, but because it added co op. So it still did its own thing. I don't know. I'd say they're equal.
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
Eh,
Portal 1
yeah, dude,
definitely
it's
had the
hard.
better credits song for sure.
For sure it did.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So gotta give it points for that too.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, Borderlands. Borderlands 2 is better. There we go. There's one for sure. Borderlands 2 is better.
I'll take your word for it. I only played the first one with you.
Yeah, we'll have to play the second one sometime. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. What is your next topic?
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Okay.
It is the newest Prince of Persia game. It's the return of the Prince of Persia universe. It is all the shit, and everybody loves it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good game.
Oh, that's too bad. I was
Um,
excited for this game.
I started playing it, and it actually reminded me of the Prince of Persia game that came out on the PS3, and want to play that game instead.
Oh,
So I
that's
went and I
disappointing.
bought the Prince of Persia pack of games. It's really a good game. There's really nothing to complain about with Prince of Persia, other than I think the
Okay.
combat is a little bit too easy.
Okay.
Story is Prince of Persia. Abilities are Prince of Persia. It is a side-scrolling platformer game.
Mm-hmm.
It's all done very well. The
Okay.
story is Prince of Persia and done the way that it's always been done, and it's good. And I actually think that it's a good change of pace compared to everything else that tries to reinvent the wheel and do something really unique and different, but isn't usually that good. So I would recommend Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I have been playing it. It is a ton of fun. It is perfect for my Steam Deck. It has
Okay.
got me to break out my Steam Deck again, and I've really enjoyed turning on The Office, the Superfan episodes, or How I Met Your Mother, and just playing Prince of Persia on my Steam Deck. It's a great time.
Cool. Cool. Is Are there any other platformers that have really challenged you besides Hollow Knight? Did Hollow Knight challenge you?
Hollow Knight did challenge me.
Okay. Any
Side
others?
scrolling platformers, like, there's some really hard Mario levels. Um, yeah, none that really come to mind. Grim,
Okay.
Grime, Grime. Grime is challenging.
Okay.
Hollow Knight is challenging. Yeah, it's like pretty rare for those to actually be challenging, but it's not super rare that the combat is always super easy. And so far, Prince of Persia has been real easy.
Okay. Did you turn it up to a higher difficulty?
I have
Or
it on
can
the
you?
highest difficulty.
Okay. And it's still pretty easy.
Yeah. I've been beat by a boss like 3 or 4 times, and it was a giant beast one that just like mixed it up, and you have to play differently. But once I figured
Okay.
it out, it was super easy. So
Super easy. All right. Yeah, you'll have to tell us how it goes as you play it along.
yeah.
Um, my next one is the book The White Darkness. It's the story of Henry Worsley. He's a spiritual successor to Ernest Shackleton. Um, Endurance is one of my favorite books of all time. I love that book. I think Ernest Shackleton is a very interesting character in history because he had these goals that he would push for and nothing would get in his way. But as soon as he realized that this goal was not achievable, he was also willing to turn around and go back home and make sure that his men were safe. And he would come hell, high water, whatever it took, make sure that his men were safe, but also push them to the limits and push them past what they thought was capable. There's not a lot of leaders that I've seen that are able to balance all of those different things so well. And along with that, he he's in these horrible, horrible situations where their ship is smashed and they're stuck on an island and they're freezing to death and there's no food, but he gets the men to laugh with him. And Henry was somebody who read all of the stories he possibly could about Ernest Shackleton and wanted to become like him. He starts implementing his way of living, of his way of inspiring people and showing kindness and being a little bit better. And he talks to Ernest Shackleton's grandson, and they decide that they're going to set sail and finish the journey that Ernest Shackleton wasn't able to make. He was 90 miles from the South Pole. So they go and they do that, and they do journey after journey after journey. And he is the last Arctic explorer, is what they call him. And in 2014, I think is what it was, he decides that he's going to cross the entire Atlantic. He's going to cross the entire Arctic um, by himself with the clothes that he has on his back and the food that he can carry. And he gets further and further and further. Um, he keeps writing home because this is 2014 now, and he can send messages and he can show his journey. And he starts getting more and more sick. And nobody wants to send him home because he's done all of these amazing things. He's an inspiration to all these people. And he ends up dying in the Arctic. But because of that, his kids have gone on to do some incredible things. He's inspired a whole nation of people with the prince even honoring him with the same reward that Ernest Shackleton got when he died because he's done all of these inspirational things. He's said so many inspirational things. He's helped so many people out because he decided to follow a dream, decided to push forward. And I would wonder where he would be if he would have taken that last lesson from Ernest Shackleton to know when you have to turn back. And the book talks about that question. How do you know when to turn back? How do you know when to keep pushing forward? How do you know that you've gone past your limits or past what you thought was capable, but not past your limits? And I think that whole idea is interesting. I really liked the book, and if you like endurance, it's a really good successor and follow up to what I think is one of the best books of all time.
Have you heard of The Hardest Geezer?
No, what is that?
That is Russell Crook. He's the guy who ran across Africa last year or a couple years ago. When was it? Yeah. So he
That
started off
sounds
in
awesome.
Tunisia and he literally ran across Africa and he was
That is so
captured
cool.
and imprisoned and beaten up for being white, and he'd always get out and then continue running across
Running.
Africa.
That is so badass. That's awesome.
I don't know very much more about that other than like I saw a little news article about it, but what you were just talking about reminded me of it, and I think you'd be interested in learning about it.
I will be. I'm going to look into that because that
I know he
is
had
just
like a
so
week
cool.
long party at the finish line that he, quote, doesn't remember very well. Uh, but yeah, I think that just reminded me of it. And yeah.
I wonder why they called him the hardest geezer because he's 27 years old.
He looks quite old.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Okay.
like he is super skinny, and like the way he's running is like old
Like a
man.
little old man.
Yeah, but like it's because he's been running across freaking Africa and was like tortured along the way, and like I think a lot of other stuff that happened to him. But it took him like a full year to do it.
Dude, that's
So
wild. That's so
yeah,
cool. I'm
there you go.
gonna I'm gonna check into that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, dude, do you want me to do Wicked first, or do you want to do your surprise?
Go ahead, do Wicked first. We'll end on my surprise.
Okay. I'm a huge fan of the Wicked musical. I think it's fantastic. We went to London a couple years ago, and we saw Les Mis, Phantom, and Wicked. And if you would have asked me what my favorite was, I would have no way said Wicked would be my favorite. Um, Everything about it is just enjoyable. It's magical. It's one of the few things that I've ever seen where it has a so much hype behind it, but I actually think it deserves that hype. So I was very excited for the movie. I that Ariana has a wonderful voice when she chooses to sing instead of her doing her pop crap, and I knew she was going to do a really good job. The girl who does Elphaba is a very, very, very talented singer. She does Harriet, the movie, which, if you haven't seen, is also fantastic, and she sings in it. She's wonderful. They did a wonderful job with this show, more than I expected it to be good. They added a couple different things, and when I was watching the stage musical, I was like, everything about that is so good, but they're missing one of the main characters. Um, he's the prince who they're both of the girls are kind of in love with. He There's a song where I'm not that girl. I wish I could be, but I'm not that girl. And it's sung two different times. One where he's with one of our main characters, and the other when he's with one of the other main characters. But he switches to Elphaba, who is a very straight-laced, high student kind of a person, and our main prince has this song where he says dancing through life, dancing through life. That's what his character is. He's kind of just a playboy who goes about his days and dances around and has fun and blah 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 blah. But then all of a sudden he wants to be with Elphaba, who is not this type of character at all, and he wants to be a better person, but they don't show that in the musical at all. And when I got out of the musical the first time, I was like, it is perfect, but they need one more I Want song from this Prince character so you know why he's changing, why he's being this different person, why he has these bigger goals, because they don't explore that at all. In the movie, they have a scene where they actually explore that a little bit. And I loved it. I loved that they added that. Normally, I hate when they add stuff like that into these musicals because I don't feel like it's necessary. This one, it added to the character growth. Um, Along with that, they also have a little bit of confusion inside of the musical on what's going on with the animals. It's not super clear because the animals are able to sing and they're losing their voices, and they expand upon that just a little bit in the movie too. And the way they expand upon it, I think, is very, very good. So they took something that I'm already a ginormous fan of. They were able to sing extremely well, and in my opinion, they made the story better and more complete and feel more full. The costume design that they have for Wicked and for the Land of Oz is impeccable. It's fantastic. I never felt like I was drawn out of this world. The acting is really good. The girl who does Elphaba, she gives her kind of like a girlish giddiness when she talks about meeting the wizard, which they don't do with the stage production, and I liked that little aspect. Um, I thought this movie was damn near perfect.
How aware are you of everything surrounding the movie not involving the movie?
I hate everything surrounding the movie, and that's part of the reason why I was worried about this movie. And part of the reason why I'm so surprised that it is as good as it is.
Are you aware of the comments that the girl who plays Elphaba made about the movie, specifically her song?
No, I know the comments that she made about the fan art where somebody tried to make it look more like the movie poster, and that was so racist and couldn't have, nobody has ever done anything worse ever, and all that ridiculous crap. But I don't know about her song. What's the deal with her song?
So she came out and she said she was told that people are singing Defying Gravity and feeling empowered. And
Yeah,
she said she had no idea and that that was not her intention with the song and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people who are, theater kids are like, how could you not know that about this part of your thing? That has always been the empowerment song
like
that
the
theater kids
empowerment
have been
song of
singing.
musical theater.
Yeah, like how could you be so unaware of the character and the role that you're taking control of? That to me is what is so ridiculous about the comments is that, like, how could you not know? Like,
I
if you were going to
That makes
play
no
the
sense.
role, wouldn't you try and learn everything about that role and like what exists? You know that a musical already exists. Why would you not go see it?
And
Why would
she's
you
a
not? Yeah.
Broadway actress. There's no way she's not a theater nerd. There's no way that she's not at least somewhat of a theater nerd. She's a
Uh, yeah.
acclaimed Broadway. That is crazy to me. When we were in London in the West End watching it, we sat next to a kid who he comes from a really religious background. It was interesting talking to him, and he's gay, and the that song is the reason he decided to come out and start living his life the way that he wanted to. And he's seen the musical in London 47 times
That's a
because
lot.
of that, how much that meant to him and how much that song changed his life. That is
Yeah.
wild to me that she didn't know. How is that even possible?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that same boat. Like, I don't know about her Broadway experience. Everything I've seen about Ariana Grande and her respect that she has for theater and how this has inspired her to try and do more theater going forward, I think is really cool. But
Me
everything
too.
surrounding the Alphaba actress has just been so negative. It's been her trying to make it political and her trying to do this and then her being so unaware of what is one of the biggest musicals of all time, and her character in the movie is just, how could you not know? Like, I am not a musical person. I'm not a theater nerd, and I knew. Like, yeah,
And even if you're not a theater nerd, you've probably heard that song. At some point in your life, you've probably heard that song. I, I don't know.
yeah,
That's crazy to me. And she does such a good job with the character too, which that shocks me even more because she legitimately adds some stuff that I don't think Idina Menzel, who originally did the character, I think in aspects she does a better job than her. Not in everything. I think Idina's singing is better, but that's just because of my personal preference and probably a little bit of bias. She does a very, very good job. And some of the acting is fantastic. That is surprising to me. That's too bad.
from what I've seen, I've only seen a couple of clips from the original Broadway and a couple of clips from the movie. I think that from what I've seen, I think both Ariana and her have been better actresses, but I'm obviously not a theater person. I'm new to kind of like the musical genre and being into it. Um, but from what I've seen, it's that I'm not invested in Wicked at all. I've held off from listening to it because for me to enjoy musical music, I have to actually know the context. I have to watch the play before I can enjoy it. Um, Les Mis, for example, I always hated the music until I actually sat down and watched it and realized the context of the music.
Hmm.
And now I love it. Now I've listened to the 25th anniversary dozens of times, so
Didn't you listen to Dear Evan Hansen before you watched the show? No.
I
Oh, okay.
watched it.
I didn't realize
Nope,
that.
I watched a hidden
Like slime
cam
tutorial or
version
something.
of the original Broadway production. And I would have loved to see like an actual filmed version like what they did with Hamilton. Um, but no,
Me
I
too.
just somebody snuck in a camera and that's how I watched it. And the movie just sucked. But yeah, so I Wicked is going to be my first real introduction to it. There's been some songs that obviously I haven't been able to avoid and that I've heard out in the world, but I'm not going to love that music until I hear the context and really get to know it. I know the general story that they're telling, I know kind of like the high points, but we'll see when I actually get to see it when it comes out on Prime Video and I can buy it. And I will buy it.
If
I'm fairly confident that I'm going to buy it.
I I think you'll like it. If you do like the movie, this is something I don't completely understand. I thought a lot about this because I wanted to explain it, but I don't know how. There is a magic with the stage production that even though the movie is the closest thing to a stage production movie I've probably ever seen, it still isn't. There's a magic there that's missing.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the movie isn't fantastic, but there's just something, and I can't. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think it's a mix between the awe of stage tech. Um, I think stage tech is amazing. It's one of my favorite things
It's
about
insane.
theater. It's crazy. I absolutely love it. If you watch the Newsies, um, I prefer the movie version because I grew up with it. But like the stage tech with the scaffolding is
It's
absolutely
crazy.
amazing.
It's
Uh,
so cool.
the stuff that I've seen at Hell Center Theater, the stage tech that they did with the ghosts in uh,
Mm,
Scrooge, whatever,
Christmas, yeah,
Christmas Story, yeah,
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. Um, like that is part of it. That is absolutely amazing. And the other part of it that is truly, truly amazing is the fact that these actors go out and do this twice a day.
Yeah, it's wild.
They 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 have
Absolutely
that
astonishing.
emotion and performance twice a day, every day of the weekend, and usually once a day throughout the week. You know, that is, I think, the magic of live theater, and like it's very very cool. I went and saw like a in a room by a bowling alley version of Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I have never liked Hunchback of Notre Dame more than that moment,
Hmm.
than seeing that version of it. Um, that to me is the magic of watching it live and on stage is there's so many moving pieces and they can't just stop and do a retake. Um, that to me is the magic of the live. That's what I attribute it to.
That's a good point. The she's not. I'm not that girl song on the live production. They have it raining on the stage, and it's with lasers, and it is the coolest thing I have ever seen. Straight up,
Yeah,
it looks like it is raining, and I can't. It was mind blowing. I had no words after I saw that piece of music, and you just don't have that kind of you don't get that kind of impression very often about anything.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I attribute it to. There's also the environment. You know, you're a part of an actual audience instead
That's
of
true.
in like a movie theater where everybody's just trying to make themselves as invisible as possible. Um, so, and like if you go see, I've never done it, I would love to, but Phantom of the Opera, uh, they incorporate the audience usually, and you just feel like a part of something bigger, and
And they have
it
the
seems
chandelier
so cool.
thing.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. So I would love to see Phantom live. Like that would be one of the top ones to go see live because it would be so different. And to see it in the Hale Center Theater with the middle, oh
It would
my
be amazing.
gosh, that would be so
Les
cool.
Mis at Hell Center was so cool. It was so good.
Yeah,
It was so good.
yeah. Um, Hail Center Theater, if you ever listen to this, please, please, please do more good stuff. I don't care about the ugly scientist or whatever you're playing right now. I want to see good things that I know and recognize. Please, thank you. Because it's a phenomenal place to be, but there's so much stuff that's just I don't care to see that. I don't care to see that. I don't care to see that. Um, so anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm very excited. I probably gonna come out on Prime Video for me to buy by the end of the year. I'd be shocked if it doesn't come out sooner than that for me. So when I watch it, I will let you know, and I'm sure that I will watch it the second that I see it available. So
Sweet,
because I
man.
am very
So
excited for it. I've been looking forward to it for a long time.
I think you'll like it. All right, what is this surprise?
Okay, so this is a surprise because it is something that I don't think you would picture me doing ever.
Okay,
Like, not in a million years. If I gave you 1,000 guesses onto what this is, I don't think you would guess it.
okay,
So I'm going to give the backstory to this on where this came from. So my family usually has a tradition of Thanksgiving, and that is we all usually go to a church and sit in the gym and eat some food. I've never been a big fan of Thanksgiving food because I've never
it's
had
not the
good
best.
stuffing, save for a couple years. My mom always made mashed potatoes and gravy like every other Sunday, and so that's nothing special to me. And whatever, it's like whatever. But the following day, Friday, my mom would wake up early in the morning and she would start decorating our house Christmassy. She would start setting up the tree. She would start putting the village together. She would listen to Michael Bublé Christmas album, and she would turn on Hallmark movies. So
Okay,
I watched two Hallmark movies, two Christmas Hallmark movies, because I was missing my mom. The first one I watched is called Holiday Touchdown, a Chief's Love Story. Um,
okay.
that is very loosely based on the Travis Kelsey Taylor Swift romance.
Oh, okay.
In this version, she is just the star of the town, and she's going to take over the family business, and they're the biggest Chiefs fans, and she's trying to get her family to win Fan of the Year for the Chiefs, and he is a marketing guy for the Chiefs. Um, and it is so enjoyable. I actually really enjoyed watching it. It was so funny, and it was so cheesy, and it was just perfect Hallmark goodness. It is like the best cast of C-list actors you've ever seen. So it
Right.
has two of the Psych villains in it.
All right.
So I recognize, like, oh, they were in an episode of Psych, just one episode, because they were the villain of the story. But I recognize them. They had Mary from The Ranch, the show with
Okay.
Ashton Kutcher. She plays the mom, um, and it has like the tall professor from Young Sheldon.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so you have all these actors that you're like, hey, I recognize them. You don't recognize the main people, at least I didn't at all. But like the supporting cast is like, I recognize them from things, you know, which is pretty cool. And like, I just enjoyed it. It was so cheesy. There was a stupid part where like he's like, I never really celebrate Christmas, and she says, well, maybe you just haven't felt the Christmas magic with me, or whatever her line is, and it starts to snow at that exact moment, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. Uh, but it was just positive. I felt so good watching it. It was so fun. I was smiling and laughing at it the whole time. So great. So great. The next movie I watched is a Chad Michael Murray Angel Falls Christmas. And this
Oh,
one
you
was the
watched that
worst
one?
Hallmark Christmas movie ever. It is
I
so bad.
Saw a trailer for that and it looked terrible.
It is truly, truly, truly terrible. So, Chad Michael Murray plays a guy named Gabe, and I was just like, ugh, Gabe? You chose Gabe for your character's name? Gabe? Like, it just. And what the heck happened to Chad Michael Murray? Right? You're watching
One Tree
One
Hill.
Tree Hill, right? Like, he is not a terrible actor by any sense of
No,
the means. He is an attractive male. I am fairly convinced that the director of this said, I want you to be a robotic who smolders all the time. So he's like, I said this thing. And you're like, what the freak? Who is this person? This is so creepy. Please stop doing this thing. And turns out he's an angel. And you're
that's
like,
even what?
that's not. Yeah, like he's supposed to come in and introduce the Christmas magic to the main girl who was all girl boss and had forgotten the Christmas magic. And his mission was to come reintroduce her to the Christmas magic. And he's just robotic and is like, it's like the director, every single sentence is like, more robot, more robot. Oh, don't forget to smolder. Don't forget to smolder. And it's like so uncomfortable. The main love interest guy is the guy who plays the computer tech in Suits. The one that Ross makes the bet with for the computer.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you have like this hallmark 10 out of 10, fantastically attractive, tall, brunette girl, and her love interest, Josh, who's played by this guy, and you're like, I don't buy it. Do not buy it for 1 second. Like, I know, like, he's just attractive enough that it's not the imbalanced thing that you sometimes see where this, like, really attractive girl gets with the funny
It's
guy.
with this frump dude, yeah.
He's just attractive enough that he's not funny and he has no personality and he hates his job. That's his whole character. And you're like, what is this doctor girl doing with this dude? Like, holy crap. Anyway, yeah, that's my surprise, is that I watched those two movies and I really enjoyed one and I really did not enjoy the other. This, holy crap, yeah. And like, they never outright told me that Chad Michael Murray was a angel. He was Gabe. And later another character calls him Gabriel and then talks about his mission and about how they have to leave on Christmas Day. And I was like, is he an elf? Is he one of Santa's helpers? What is he? And then he's like, I wouldn't have my halo polished if I wasn't planning on leaving. And I was like, Halo? What are you talking about, dude? And yeah, it's yeah. That's my surprise topic.
I think with 1,000 guesses, I could have guessed that.
I
I know you.
don't
I
think
know you
so.
like some. I know you like some cheesy romance TV shows. I can see you watching some cheesy romance movies.
I don't think you would have gotten there. I don't think you would have predicted 2 Hallmark Christmas movies. One's not really
I don't.
Hallmark, but
I think I could have predicted one of them. I don't think I would predict that you watched two, but maybe. Nah, I don't. I might. I wonder if I'd predict that you liked one of them, so you decided to watch a second one. But I don't
I
know.
had
I think I could
decided I
predicted
was going to
one.
watch both before.
Okay, really?
Yep. I actually have another one on my list, but it's not available to me yet, so I have it in my calendar for when it's released.
Oh,
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's called A Charade for Christmas, and it's what's the Brad Pitt spy movie with Angelina Jolie, where they're spies against each other?
Mr. Smith, something Smith,
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs.
Smith.
Smith.
It's that, but Christmas.
Oh, okay,
And I saw
cool.
a TikTok of it, and it was just a guy talking about how he was pleasantly surprised and really enjoyed it, and how he doesn't
Okay.
usually like Hallmark movies. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll put that on my list. Why not? So far, we're at 50% this year for Christmas movies. So,
I think I'm gonna watch the new Lindsay Lohan one with Sid.
oh,
She
please
wants to
don't.
watch.
Please don't.
Why?
Do you know the plot?
No.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
She wants to watch Hot Frosty too, and I will not watch that movie. Nope, won't do it.
I would rather watch Hot Frosty.
Are you serious?
Yep,
Hot
I
Frosty's got
know
one of
the
the
plot
stupidest
for
premises
both.
ever.
Yep,
Okay,
I know the premise for
okay.
both. I would rather watch Hot Frosty. By a long shot. Not even close. By a mile.
That's wild to me. Actually, that's kind of surprising because Hot Frosty is so stupid.
I agree. 100%. I agree.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll let you guys know what I think. Maybe we'll watch it this week.
You should watch A Touchdown for Christmas. Because that one actually is enjoyable. Is that what it's called?
Okay,
Holiday Touchdown.
Holiday Touchdown.
Holiday
I'll
Touchdown.
watch it. Holiday Touchdown. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I will try it.
Oh, it's a Hallmark movie. Be
I
forewarned.
bet.
But yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent about Hallmark movies. I've never really hated one. I can't think of one that I really, really liked either.
that's because they're all the same.
Yeah,
I
so they're kind of
wanted
like
to get
whatever.
my mom one of them and then write her a note that says, I've got you every single Hallmark Christmas movie that's ever. I got you them all. I got every single one. And it would just be the one. That's what I wanted to do for Christmas one year for her.
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. Because they're all the same. They are all the same. There's not one that
They are all
stands
the
out.
same.
There's not one that's bad. Uh, but there is something to say about it actually being Hallmark, because Holiday Touchdown was actually Hallmark. And the other one was not actually Hallmark. And just Hallmark does the Hallmark thing best. That's what
Okay,
I've learned.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have
Because
you
the
watched
Netflix ones all suck.
yeah, I don't I think they're all kind of the same level. Like I said, there's none that I've hated, there's none that I've liked.
They are
All kind of in
not
the
the
same.
same level. They are not.
Um you know the guy who does the script? Like the do you have a script for me guy? So there's videos where he's like, so I hear you have a script for me for Avengers or for whatever it is, and he's like, yes I do, sir. And in this one, he was talking about Hot Frosty, and he's like explaining the premise of Hot Frosty, and then he says it's one of those movies that's so bad that it's good. And the producer guy is like, well, why don't we just make a movie that's so good that it's good? He said, whoa, whoa, you don't mess with Hallmark. We do what we do. You don't mess with a winning formula. We've been doing this since the beginning of time, and we will keep doing this till the end of time. It was very funny. I'll look up what those things are called. I really like his stuff.
That's fair,
But
but like I said, I think the Hallmark actually so far this year, right? I've watched one non-Hallmark, one Hallmark. I enjoyed the Hallmark one. I did not enjoy the
didn't
other
enjoy
one.
the other one.
And I watched like the Netflix ones with what's her name? Freaking heck. The girl in Riverdale.
Oh, I
Uh,
don't know her name, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, she did like the princess ones, and like there's all the Vanessa Hudgens ones.
I've seen the Vanessa Hudgens ones, and they're pretty terrible.
Yeah,
They're pretty bad.
but like that's my point. Is like I have not enjoyed the non-Hallmark ones, but I watched an actual Hallmark one, Holiday
And kind of
Touchdown,
enjoyed it.
and kind of actually enjoyed it. And like shout out to it, it was inspired by Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce's mom is in the movie.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So it was it's still bad. It's still cheesy as heck. Like I said, there's a line where she's like, "You haven't felt the Christmas magic with me," or whatever, and then it
It's
starts
still
to snow,
Hallmark.
and you're like, "Oh, that makes me want to vomit." That was so bad. It was such a terrible line. Um, it's still Hallmark. It's not like actually a good movie, but it was enjoyable. I still liked it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I give it a try. Oh, pitch meeting. That's what they're called. You know what I'm talking
I
about
think
now?
I've seen some of the stuff, but
This guy.
I know the second one for sure.
Not that guy's funny too, but that dude.
Yes,
Does that look
I've
familiar?
seen his
Yeah, yeah.
TikToks. Yeah, he does TikToks.
He's funny. He's a funny
Wow,
dude.
he is.
Well, that one in particular I thought was really good. If any of you want to watch it, it's funny, funny.
What's his channel called?
It's it is pitch meeting. It's just called pitch meeting.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, give it a try,
Shout
guys.
out
His
for
stuff
pitch
is
meeting. It's funny.
stuff is good.
It is.
Well, dude, I think that is our episode. Thanks everybody for watching. Leave comments, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate you. We're new to this. We're figuring it out. And if you guys have any ideas for us, any topics you want us to cover, anything like that, just let us know. We appreciate you. See you guys.
Bye.